This is a fab fact that you should read.
Oh?
Because it relates to you. Here's the book.
Oh, come on. Pass it over. All right.
There you go.
Okay.
See?
Just there. Ah, right. Jamie?
Yes.
Listeners, if I was to say to you, Thunderbirds stage show, what do you think of?
Well, I think of being in the foyer of the Palladium in about 1990, maybe 1991.
Yeah.
Cardboard Thunderbirds hats, amazing.
I can see it now. Yes, exactly. The long-running, much-loved Thunderbirds FAB stage show, which was first performed in Edinburgh in 1984 by Andrew Dawson and Gavin Robertson, and enjoyed phenomenal success during tours throughout the 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. And as Nicholas Parsons would say, not only in the UK, but around the world. Along the way, several other familiar names from the Anderson universe would also participate in the show, including Wayne Forrester, Rob Thurtle, and some bloke named Richard James.
No,
sounds familiar. However, we're not here to talk about that show today as much as it deserves to be talked about, because did you know, it says here, that even before Andrew and Gavin and the rest started running around with models of the Thunderbirds craft strapped to their heads, there had already been a Thunderbirds stage show.
I don't think I did.
Not many people do, no, because it only ran for about a year, from April 1974 to April 1975, which means that the show was running during production of the first season of Space 1999. This Thunderbirds stage show was produced by Stage 3, a theatre company that included former Supermarionation puppeteers Rowena White and Christine Glanville. So Christine produced the puppets, while Rowena not only provided their clothes, but also wrote the scripts for the 3 stories that would make up the show. These puppets were not marionettes on wires, but instead rod-operated puppets worked from below. And they were miming to pre-recorded dialogue. They had heads much larger than their television counterparts, so that they could be seen much better on the stage from the audience.
Makes sense.
They had a voice cast, including Sylvia Anderson's daughter Dee as Lady Penelope, plus actors Kerry Jewell, David Schofield, Malcolm Story. Some big theatre names there providing the voices of the male characters. The show was produced following Stage 3's success with their show Rupert Bear and His Puppet Pals.
Oh.
Doesn't that sound lovely?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, their version of Thunderbirds wasn't destined to be quite so successful.
Oh, shame.
After a strong opening in Chelmsford, and we've all had one of them, and then an even more successful run in Gravesend, the plan was to spend a summer season at Bournemouth's Pier Theatre. However, the show was dropped after just 4 weeks following attendance figures that could perhaps be best described as dismal.
Oh dear.
We've all had those as well. The audience returned for a few more successful performances elsewhere in the country later in the year, but unfortunately the show's failure in Bournemouth soon got around in the theatre world and no one wanted to take them on after that, so the final performance was at the Gloucester Leisure Centre in April 1975.
What a classy place to go out.
You were there. Yeah, absolutely. However, the puppets from that show apparently still survive. You can see a picture of them on the entry for the Stage 3 production on the Thunderbirds wiki page, and also if you have the complete book of Thunderbirds you should be able to find some publicity photos from the tour. But we would love to hear your memories of this show if you ever got to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do drop us a line, podcast@gerryanderson.co.uk with any memories of the show, and if you still have any pictures that you took and feel like sharing them with your fellow podstrons, you can post them on the podcast listeners Facebook page. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Amazing.
Were you there? Did you see the original Thunderbirds stage show in 1975?
Well, I definitely did not, and I have to confess to not being aware to this fact prior to that.
No, I had no idea. But how interesting it would have been a show with puppets rather than men running around pretending to be puppets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, both had their own merits, I would say.
Yes, quite right, yeah. So there we go. That's a fab fact featuring the original Thunderbirds story.
Amazing.
On stage.
Thanks, Dexter. Yeah. Thank you for reading that. I appreciate that.
Oh, now, so hang on. Now I've got to say, and that brings us to the end of this week's
Stage
Fact.